Good evening, guys. It's GunSlingerz. It's been a busy week on the Arsenal front, and the main question we got is, are Arsenal for sale? Evening, my people. Evening, people. Free TV, GunSlingerz. How you all doing? We've got our resident guest, Canners, Gunner King, and Lex with us today. We're going to go around the panel quick. Canners, how you keeping?
I'm good, man. Blessed. Little minor issues, but hey, I'm back. I'm back up, and we're not quite running yet, but I'm back, man.
You back up. Good
Back
to
up.
hear. And Lex, yourself, how you, bruv?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Yeah, it was a chilled out weekend. Good results as well, not just for the Arsenal, but the whole Premier League. So yeah, not bad.
Decent. And Gunner King, I know I've seen you a lot this last few days, man. We've been on a high. So how are you today? Is it all calmed down on your front, or is it still going crazy on the Twitter, the TikToks?
Yeah, no, man. I've got we got 2 weeks of an international break to just remind these United fans, what they were saying about all these players, about Benny Blanco, who's looking clear of Maguire at the moment on current form. It's just building up nicely. Got some of the Liverpool fans starting to chatter now after their loss to West Ham. That's made it interesting. So, yeah, man. Just been speaking to other people about collabs as well. It's just mad, crazy. Yeah.
Been a busy week. I must say, congratulate you on your latest video. I've seen blowing up on YouTube. Like, you're probably gonna get signing autographs in the next couple of weeks. I think almost 30K on that video on AFTV.
Listen, man, sign that shirt for me you got on.
Next time I see you taking a picture and I'm claiming you're Lacazette because the comments were wild.
Yeah, that was serious.
Yeah, don't forget about us, man. Don't forget.
That's it. That's it. Come back for it. Decent. So Lex, obviously it's been a few weeks since we've seen you on. Since then, Arsenal have been in good form. What's your views kind of on the last month, just over a month since we come back from the international break? Been impressed? Happy with the direction we're heading in?
Yeah, I'd say overall, I've been impressed. I'll give it, last month, I'll say a 7 out of 10. I think we had a couple of draws against Crystal Palace. I think Brighton at the beginning of the month. And then the wins against Leicester. That was a good win. That was a big win.
Yeah.
Leicester, obviously Watford. And I think there was one other game. I think
Aston Villa
as well.
And then the cup game against Leeds as well. Yeah.
Yeah, the cup game against Leeds. So I think overall, I'll give that 7 out of 10. To be honest, we were a bit lucky against Crystal Palace to get that point. And I think if we won that game, I'll give that nearly a 10 out of 10 for that month. But I think overall, we're back on track. So yeah, and Conte's team's firing blanks on the weekend. So can't complain, man.
The funniest thing is, we're talking to one guy because we were talking about that no shots on target in almost 4 hours, and he was like, "We hit the post," and I was like, "Well, it's not on target because it still ended 0-0." So
that's when you know that you're clutching.
Like, that's what you're hanging on to, a shot on target.
They'll be making DVDs about it soon enough.
Yeah. Put
We
your angle in the right direction.
We hit the post at the end of October. DVD out now.
Mate, it's beautiful to see. About yourself, Canners, how you been? I know obviously watching the game can't jump up as much. So how did you cope on Sunday watching it?
Man, my arms are waving about like crazy, especially on Sunday. I mean, yeah, do you know what? I agree with Lex to a certain point. I'd actually give it an 8 out of 10, really. I think the two draws with Palace and Brighton, considering that they've played certain other teams in and around and above us, they've taken points from. We're talking Palace winning at City and Brighton winning, drawing at Liverpool. So you know, it kind of put, you know, to get obviously you'd want to win at home against Palace, but listen, those two teams are no mug teams, man. Vieira's got them drilled. He's got Conor Gallagher. He's got him playing. He looks decent right now. And obviously Potter's doing what he's doing at Brighton. They've gone through a little bit of a lower. They haven't won for a good few games, but listen, I think what we're doing now at this moment in time is that we're winning games which we should be winning, which as years gone by may have been a little bit, you know, a few banana skins, you know, being under the cosh at certain periods of the game, and we're weathering that. So I'm enjoying the different Arsenal that I'm seeing here, you know, where actually, do you know what? Even though it was 1-0 against Watford, there wasn't really any hairy moments where I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to concede here. Yeah, a little lapse of concentration on Ramsdale's part, but by that, the game was in control. I think my only issue that we have is our strikers, and I'm talking Aubameyang really. That's the only thing what I'm a little bit iffy with. I mean, he tried his hardest, man, for us to drop points on Sunday. For 3 goals, it was hit for him that they were disallowed or didn't go in. So obviously the first one, Saka's one, his miscontrol. Then you had the penalty miss, and then you had him trying to get his toe. Well, got his toe to Odegaard's goal, which would have stood it had he not gone for it. But listen, we got the win, and yeah, I'm enjoying this team playing. Saka and Smith Rowe looking decent. And
they got a little celebration together as well. And
because it got disallowed.
Yeah.
Even that did that, I was like, oh.
That's still become a mad meme already, though. It's been gifted around a mad myth, mad.
Hopefully we see that combination for England in a few weeks' time, in a few days. But just good. On what you're saying about ABBA, I don't know if you remember the Burnley game. We came off that with a 1-0 win. I was quite optimistic, and I said, I could see something that when it clicks, it's going to work. In terms of ABBA, and obviously, he was not at fault, but whatever happened on the Saturday. Yeah. But actually, I'd much rather see that and it's win 1-0 than us not creating chances. But he scores one, so that to me papers over the cracks more. I'd much rather see him in them positions, being caught offside or. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Missing a chance, because at least we're creating the chances. Whereas a few months ago, we wasn't even creating that many chances.
Creating anything, wasn't even getting sniff. The conversation was, well, what does he do if he doesn't score? What does he do?
What's he doing? Yeah. So to be fair, it's one of them games. Another game, he gets a hat trick in that game. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just margins, and it could be worse. He could be Harry Kane playing in the number 6 position next to Højbjerg. So we've got to be happy with what we're doing right now. And just like again, it's international break, and again, it's quite nice sometimes to use these as where we're heading. Right, let's look back on what we've done the last few weeks, but I want to look a bit further back. And it's a shame how football's played is not done by calendar year, because if you look back at our form since Christmas, it's got to be up there, because of what we're the form team since September. And end of last season, from Christmas to end of season, we was the 3rd best team. So if you take away them 3 games, we've had like a very good calendar year.
I would say.
Do you think we're heading in the correct direction?
I like to think so. The only problem I have, and I'm so glad that we got this, and I'll tell you why. Just hear me out. I'm glad we got this international break in November, right? Because November is notoriously our hoodoo, bogey, whatever month you want to call it. We normally, you know what I mean, from years gone by, we always do bad in November. I'm glad that we only have, 3 games actually. Sorry, 3 games in November. So we won one.
They're tough ones. They're tough ones.
Well, one's tough. The other 2 are definitely winnable. Listen. I'm thinking if we come through November with 7 points, hey, listen, I'm talking. There's no reason why we cannot, not get top 4. If we come out, it will be acid test next game, but we take points off Liverpool at their gaff. I tell you, that's going to be, that will give the players belief that what they can do. Because listen, going to Anfield right now with the team what they have, it doesn't matter the last result what they had. But going to Anfield and getting something out of that game, God knows what that's going to do to that group of players.
I think it's a shame that we had internationals, because I was thinking,
I'd like to go into
I'm thinking, this was probably the best time to go in it.
But temper that with November being a horrible month
and also
there's a flip side to that, because a lot more of their players are fully fledged internationals. So, whereas we've only really got, Tierney, Smith Rowe and Saka, who are going to be bit part players in the England squad. Gabriel's gone to Brazil.
First call.
Wasn't originally picked, and Odegaard. You go through Liverpool's team, Alisson will probably be going, Robertson, Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, their whole 11 should be gone.
Did they take Trent?
Yeah, but I don't think he'll start though, because they like Kyle Walker. But regardless, I think on the flip as well, sometimes when them big teams lose, you don't want to be the next one to receive it, because if you like City are chomping to get at you, ain't they? So it might be a good little 2 weeks off and almost let them go and enjoy international break and come back, and they might not be as ready for that game. But definitely it's put us in a good position. So I think even if we lose that game and United and Tottenham win, they don't even really climb above us. Might be joint on points.
If we lose that game,
United would if they won their game. On goal difference only, though.
Yeah, but that's nothing. You know what I mean? So again, you put yourself in a position, haven't you? So that's what you could do. What we've failed to do in recent years is when teams are slipped up around us, we then tend to slip up. Whereas this team now, it seems to be taking opportunities. When teams mess up, we go and get 3 points. And how many times in the last few years we're saying, we're only 5 points behind that team. If we win our game in hand, we're 2 points, and then we go and lose to the, not being disrespectful, but one of the weaker teams in the league, and you can never make up the ground. So the most important thing is beat the teams around you and below you, and there's a few who might get the better of you, but if you beat the teams you're meant to beat, you put yourself in a good position, don't you?
I think that's been the main thing about this season, right? Because last season we beat Chelsea into over 2 legs. They went on to we beat them in 3 games. We beat, consider if you factor in the FA Cup final as well. We beat Liverpool in the Community Shield. We beat United. We beat Leicester. We beat. Is that all the top teams that we beat?
We beat a lot. Yeah, we had a good because Arteta's had a good record against the better teams.
Yeah, but what we struggled with was I think last season we lost against Burnley. Burnley took 4 points from us. Villa took 6 points from us. Everton took 6 points from us. Spurs took 3 points from us. Yeah, they're a small team now. These teams there that we shouldn't be losing to. Whereas, if you look at from September, a lot of people are like, but you're just, a lot of these games weren't proper tests. But it's actually, in a sense, they were, because those were the games. I mean, look at all those teams that I just named that we lost to last season. We won 2 of those games. We would have been in the top 4. You're only 6 points off it.
That's it. Yeah, you got to take, and that's what Arsenal were notoriously good at under Wenger, was we beat them teams. So we would get hit up by Man United for. Do you know what I mean? There was times, again, we didn't win at Old Trafford since Wenger was there, and Arteta was the one that broke that hoodoo. So it was notoriously, we didn't beat Man City for years. when they started getting the money. But we notoriously beat the teams we're meant to beat, and that was a good enough for top 4. Whereas, like Gunner King said, it's been a lot of times we're getting beat by teams we shouldn't be losing to.
Do you know
and that's what cost us.
One thing also, right, which I noticed on Sunday playing against Watford, which I hadn't seen for a long time, right? A team, I don't know, previously teams been coming to Emirates thinking, you know what, if we have a go at them, then we can get something from this game. This is the first time actually I've seen the team actually dress back and give respect. Because every time, right, if you look at it, even at home, teams have been pressing us. Watford didn't press us. Yeah, they allowed us to build from the back, and they just got back.
Go back and watch the show yesterday. There was
Sorry, I think we lost you.
Sorry, Canners.
Oh, did you lose me or did we lose Gums?
No, I lost Kelvin for a bit there.
Yeah, you're back now.
Okay, yeah. No, I was saying.
Yeah, it's one of us, you know.
Okay, I was just saying that I think now teams are now actually starting to respect us. So, you know, as I said, Watford, as soon as we got the ball, even from goal kicks, you know, they weren't pressing us because they know now that we actually can beat the press. And teams now are actually coming with the one man up top and actually now trying to pack out the midfield and put spoilers in there and trying to stop us play. So we're getting that kind of respect back now, which I like. Not coming to the Emirates thinking, yeah, you know what, I think we can get a win. If not a win, then okay, we can get a point here. Now they're coming now just for if we can nick a point, that'd be a good result.
What is this I'm seeing? United fans.
Listen,
United fans asking us to do the job that they couldn't at home. Yeah, they're asking us to go to Anfield and do the job that they couldn't at home. Yeah, shame. Yeah, asking Arsenal fans for favours now. Yeah, that's where these men are at right now. Yeah, let's not forget that.
So if I was you, mate,
forget that. Yeah, these players that we wasted money on. I'm going to keep saying that until the end of the season. Yeah, till they're done hearing that sentence. Yeah.
If we Pogba's out for 8 weeks now, isn't it? I think, or something like that.
Yeah, he done his fire. He done his fire on international duty.
Yeah, and I saw it as well. It looked bad. I think that's his fire abductor, and I've had that injury before, and that's 8 weeks period.
To be fair, I heard Canners. To be fair, I've heard your injury record was like similar to Diaby's. Like,
I can second that.
If you saw Canners hobbled onto the stream, guys, you'd understand.
That Jack Wilshere with them glass
tremendous. My injury record was tremendous. In the latter stages, in the twilight of the body started breaking down. That's when I had to say, you know what, I'm Mr. Glass right now. But, I was all right in my 20s.
Bless you. But we're going to get a couple of comments and then we're getting into the main crux of the stream. Nigerian Englishman saying we need to give it a go in a Liverpool game. Silver Fox is very confident we're beating Liverpool. I like that energy. 90 minutes at a time, anything more than that is still stressful for me. We need to give Liverpool a good game for me to believe real progress is made this year. Fair enough.
You know what? When you got the matchups, right? With you're looking at the fullbacks, Robinson and Trent. You match them up against ours. I actually, because I was watching you guys actually, and someone was talking about putting Tierney back in the team, right, for the Liverpool game. For me, Tavares' turn of speed, even defending, no one's beating him. I would love to see him against Salah. I think he would give Salah I tell you what.
Well, you think he's better defensive?
Listen, I mean, you just look at Ismail Sarr smashing it up in the Premier League. What did he have to do after the first 30 minutes, after 25 minutes? What did he have to do? He had to switch to Tommy Amphley.
Yeah.
He had to switch. He wasn't getting nothing. Even that the guy as well, Emmanuel Dennis, decent player as well. Listen,
but when he was going forward as well, he was whipping in some good crosses as well.
That's the only thing he needs to work on is his final ball, and his final decision. If he works on that, listen, Tierney's got a problem, and I think it's a great problem for Arteta to have. Great.
While we're on it here, let's go. I know Gunner King, you said keep Tavares, didn't you, the other day? Lex and Canners, what are you saying? Are we starting Tavares or Tierney against Liverpool?
I'm Tavares against Liverpool. I think pace-wise, he will keep up, even if if that turn.
Do you know what it is as well? I've seen so many times Tierney being brought back and him just breaking down again. As I said, I think as a longer term strategy, even at the detriment of this game, let's bring him back not when he's 100% fit. Let's bring him back when he's 150, 200% fit. Do you get what I mean? Like where he's had that extra time, whereas like there is absolutely no uncertainty in anyone's mind that this guy is fit. Because I think not just with Tierney. If you look back for our history with the likes of Wilshire's and your Ramseys and your Diabys and a lot of these other players, that was the problem. Like where we were just our eggs were so heavily invested in that basket that we were bringing that guy back and he was just breaking down again. Martinelli, he had 2 or 3 injury breakdowns last season again. That's why I keep backing down these Martinelli. Arteta has a Martinelli agenda chats, man, because they're nonsense. I really think he is being mindful of, and I think that was a hallmark of Wenger's managerial career, if I'm being honest. In that time, you looked at the Sir Alex Ferguson Wenger era, both of them were doing it.
Do you remember
Rooney's career was cut short by it. Let's be honest.
6 weeks.
Yeah, like Rooney's career was cut short by it. Let's be honest. So I just want us to, because it's very clear that I think Tierney is in danger of becoming one of these players that just is good when he's fit, but when he's fit, when is that? I can't deal with another one of those, man. I really can't. It's just.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you, Gunnar. It reminds me of Canners, to be fair. When he's fit, he's firing on all cylinders as well. I was sorry. I can't help myself. But what you're saying is true. What you're saying is true, though, Gunnar. I look at Alexis, and for Arsenal, he was unbelievable, and it looked like his legs were starting to go a bit, and he got that big move, and his legs were shot. And he was never the same again. And there's another one I was thinking of as well. It's exactly the same. It's completely gone from my head. If we might come back to, I can't remember. But there's a few cases of players who legs just burn out, and that's what remember Wenger saying about Riziki.
Santi was that for one season.
I don't think Santi was. But do you remember?
No, Santi had a lot of problems, man. He had a lot of injury problems.
Yeah, his was a big one. But Rashford's another one he didn't look up to speed for me a lot last season. And he's had that break now, and he's come back this year, and he looks like he's firing again. He's only played a few games, but he looks like he's ready to go again. And do you remember Wenger's comments about Riziki, where he said he's had so much rest in his career, his legs are like a 25-year-old when he's really 30. And that can play a big difference. And Tierney, we do need to be careful with him. And let his body heal properly. Because again, these guys are human and not machines. Do you know what I mean? So
they've been playing football since they were like 6 or 7.
Yeah, definitely. we got my friends in the comment again today, guys. Mikel, good evening, sir.
He watches,
my guy Gumza. He watches me every week. So he joined the show last night. He took some notes. He had a couple of the guys watching our breakdown. So it's all good. And Nigerians coming. Wiltshire said Tierney's the quickest guy at the team. If Tierney has a good international break, he has to start. I think there's a difference between quick and fast. I think Tierney's the fastest, they said, which would be a 100-meter sprint. But when you're twisting and turning with Salah, it's a big difference. I sort of
over 10 meters, Tavares, I'll say you keep up.
He's got that acceleration,
yeah, he's got that.
The thing is, as well, is that Tavares is powerful.
Yeah, he does.
Well. Physique-wise, he's got everything.
Yeah.
He's got the strength.
Yeah.
He's got the stamina, he's got the power. So I think it'll be a good battle, to be honest.
Good aerial ability as well, man.
I think. Do you know?
Another thing that surprised me about him. Yeah.
I think that's going to play a big part because Liverpool do like to put crosses in, and I think Trent's renowned for it. So Tomiyasu being our right back is going to be very handy in this kind of game because do you know what I mean, defensively quite sound, and he gets close to Ben White. He doesn't venture forward as much. So positionally, he's going to be very handy, I think, for defending them crosses from the right. But we've already done 25 minutes. We ain't even touched on what we meant to touch on. So I apologize. I'm taking the blame because I can't answer your questions.
Like
so we're going to go into it.
Game before the Liverpool game needs previewing. Yeah, like,
no, look at us. Let's go. But,
we're all just excited, man. That's all.
Yeah.
So as you all probably know, Josh Kroenke done an interview end of last week. Well, it came out end of last week. We've got a couple of clips from it. We're going to dissect it down a little bit. So, there we go. Right, Vic, we're going to get to that right now. So here we go.
There's a lot of answers to that question, but I think that from a collective ambition from my father to myself, to the board, to Mikel, to Edu, and on down to the rest of the football operations staff, we had a clear idea of what we needed to do with the squad. And there were a lot of areas that needed to be addressed. Were we going to be able to address them all in one window? I don't think we did or were able to do, but we made a lot of progress in certain areas. We have a young manager who's improving every match. I think he says that himself privately. And I think we have a squad that is really designed around his strengths, and now they can all be in a position to grow together, challenge each other daily, and when times are tough, put their arms around each other, knowing that they're going to be back the following day in the foxhole, so to speak, competing with each other's best interests at heart.
So, some nice little bits of talking points in there. Lex, we're going to come to you first. What did you make of that little segment there? And do you believe him?
Yeah, so I ended up watching the interview on Sunday because I think he got released just after the Watford game. So I watched that whole interview. I think overall was positive. Had some good points that he spoke about. I think what it looks like is that there was kind of transition where basically he's Stan Kroenke is kind of given kind of like this is basically his baby now for Josh Kroenke. He's like, Stan's kind of handed it over to him. And Josh has been more vocal than I think Stan's ever been really since he's came on board. I think there was another point that he mentioned about he doesn't really want to include the times before 2018 where they had full 100% control from 2018, and if you look at what's kind of happened since then, if you look at a net spend, I think a net spend is roughly about 340 million since then, and we've kind of gone from having an aging squad to more of a youthful squad. So there's been some big changes since that time, and I think overall it's been kind of positive. And he's had some good points that he's talked about. Obviously the Super League, he kind of touched on that a little bit, and he's put his hands up and admitted that wasn't his best moment at being at Arsenal with how things went. He kind of said that it was either a choice of, do you want Arsenal to be in the best league or to be out? And if it was a choice, you're gonna go with Arsenal being in the best league. So I kind of get what they're saying from there, but I think overall it was a positive interview, and I think there's good key points that you can take away from that as being an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, definitely. Gunner King, from that clip you've seen, what's your kind of? I know it's a quick evaluation you need to put on it.
I mean,
go on.
No, sorry, carry on.
No, I was going to hand over to you anyway, so take it.
Yeah. I think the first thing I want to talk about is he gave me a bit of beard envy there, man. I was like,
he looks like Doctor Strange, and I'm hoping he can see the future and do a bit of that and say, there's one way Arsenal will win the Champions League, and he's putting it in place. He saw Ben White and Ramsdale in the vision.
Well, I have to say, I think look, just in itself, I can't remember the last time there was any communication of any kind from the Kroenkes, like a direct address. Like they've done it to like the Supporters Trust, like the AST, and then like expected the trust to speak through them. But to actually, to have this address with the intention of releasing it to the public with a very clear vision, with, what Lex spoke about, with some accountability for the Super League, to directly what they was talking about here. I think the main thing that impressed me with what I just heard there was when I heard him say, we knew we had a number of areas to address and how we wanted to address it. Were we going to address all of those areas in one window? No. Yeah. So what he has made very clear there for me, as far as I'm concerned, that is you putting your nuts on the table and saying, look, we still know we got to roll up our sleeves and do work in the market. And that's not any detriment. And I'm not speaking badly about anyone currently in the squad. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we know that, it's great being in the top 4 challenge. I don't want to stop in there. A lot of people's fears that I speak to is they'll get us back in the top 4 and then they'll just kind of keep that hamster wheel churning, so that we can just stay there or thereabouts and be comfortable with that, and just see what we can do to have a puncher's chance of winning the Champions League or the league or something. It seems to me like they, in saying that and committing to saying that, they know that there's still more work to do on this squad in the market. And look, at the end of the day, if they go out again, don't sign a single marquee signing, but they're signing young players that are of this caliber, that are going to improve and only get better. Oh, listen, I'm a bit more bought into that way of addressing our squad gap issues, so long as they are addressing it one way or another. But what I believe now is that we've kind of laid the foundation, the floor. We covered the main gaps. We've done the heavy lifting. So I really think now we can look at quality additions that do have that bit more quality with the experience, like the 25 to 26-year-olds that are closer to their prime that might cost a bit more, because I personally think if we went in January and only got one striker with pedigree, I think we could be dangerous. Honestly, the way that I'm seeing us play at the moment, that Watford game, if you look back at it, dissect it, typifies it. Like how many chances we had to put the ball in the back of the net. Even some of the games that we won more convincingly, the Spurs game where we had more chances, the Leicester game where we had more chances, the Villa game where we had more chances to score even more. And I think, especially with Lacazette and Aubameyang, where they are in their stage of the career, and then there being nothing between that, the only alternatives to them being Martinelli and Balogun, who are relatively inexperienced, and Nketiah, whose contract's running down, Lacazette's contract's running down. I think, as I said, I keep citing the Bruno Fernandes signing when he was brought into United, and where that really changed everything. So Arsenal have been historically a club that don't really do stuff in January, but I think the opportunity, Leicester are way down there. They finished 5th 2 seasons in a row, and they're are they going to be there? Or are they not going to be there? They'll put a game or two together where you think yes, and then you think no again. They drew with Palace. Next game they beat United 4-2. So you look at United, their form, the fact that they're missing a 6, the fact that they don't know what's happening with their manager, that there's unrest there again as a result of it. You're looking at this is as close as we've been to the leaders at this stage in a long time. And if we can stay there or thereabouts, come January the 1st when that window opens, even if it means we're not in the top 4 places still, but we're like 2, 3, 4, that kind of number of points away, and we can go in and bring someone that can be like a bit more of the finishing piece of the jigsaw in terms of scoring the goals, then I think we can go on a massive push, for the top 4. I agree with Canners, I'm not sat here saying we are going to get top 4, But I'm just saying, if taking everything that I said in context, it's a great chance to be there. And I like that the owners have said that they do still, you know, it's not like they've sat there and said, yeah, we've done it now. We got these players. Our squad sorted. It's made a very clear admission that, you know, we got to do more. And if they can do that in January and you know, keep the bar up to where it is with these players, I think maybe a central midfielder as well. Definitely a striker. And look, these guys can come in and have the same measure of impact that the players that we brought in have. That's when you start.
I'm just going to cut you there. Yeah, so I'm just going to jump in because I'm going to come to Canners. I'm presuming you heard it all, Canners. He said something in there. We haven't clipped it, but I maybe put my ears up a little bit when he said, obviously, when they took over in 2018, they tried a few different things. So one of the things they did was break the transfer record. So he obviously hasn't called out Pepe, but he kind of made it clear that that route they went down at first wasn't successful.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they brought loads of players for that money, but he clearly said we broke the transfer record. We brought in more high, not big, maybe bigger names, because again, you then look at the Willians and people like that, and he was clear and said that didn't work for us. We've now looked at another model, and I think Arteta's probably, what he's done recently is, it was no secret, Arteta wanted a lot of the players out. He said they're not good enough. The board backed him and said, all right, go on and do it your way. What Arteta's now showing is, look, we've done this much with what you've given us so far. Look at the turnaround.
Yeah.
So now, do you reckon this would inspire the Kroenkes to think actually Arteta wasn't lying? It was the players we had weren't good enough. We needed to change the model. So do you think, if you was in Kroenke's position, would you be now willing to say, actually, I could get behind what these lot are doing? Because, again, you look at the Pepe investment. I just spent 72 mil and that's what you gave me. Am I really going to give another 72 mil for one player? Whereas now, turning around and saying, look, I've got the next Ben White, but as a striker, I need 45, 50. Would you trust to give the money to Arteta now a bit more in Edu? If you was in the Kroenke's position?
I think what they are... Listen, these Kroenkes ain't stupid, right? They've got a massive franchise of American sports teams, you know, obviously in the States. And those teams do well. The Rams, they've won Super Bowls. And I remember at some point they were dead, you know, and he's turned, to be fair, he's turned them around. And over the years, they've basically doing what they're doing. Now, Josh Kroenke, I think, obviously now, I think he's pretty much, as Leon stated, that he's pretty much now he's the man. It's not Stan. Yeah, fair enough. He's the money or whatever, but it's pretty much Josh really who's running this, you know, steadying, you know, directing this ship, so to speak, from a KSC perspective. And the thing is that in regards, they tried that model of, I think, because they're getting a lot of noise from our fan base about not spending any money. They want the Kroenkes at the club. So I think that may have been a little bit of pressure that was building. And they did that to kind of make a statement to say, hey, no, this is what we want to do. We want the best players. We want the best players at Arsenal. We know that X, Y, Z team wanted this player. We've got him. Look at what we've done. And I think that was probably a little bit of a backfire in a sense, because it wasn't really on a sound project as such, because other areas could not be addressed as Arteta wanted, or, you know, Armoury wanted them to be addressed at that time. Since Arteta's come in, he has a way of playing. You need certain players to play the way that Arteta's playing. And obviously, they tried another, they went for the quick fix project, where, you know, tried and tested players that have done it in a Premiership, had successful careers. We can get them for relatively cheap in terms of a transfer outlay. However, yeah, they're going to be a little bit expensive on the thing, but that's economics. Let's see if it works. It didn't work for both those the players that we're talking about. Is Luis and what's his name? William. Didn't work. Terrible kind of and I think, rightly or wrongly, they've now been forced into a corner to now go this route, where we now start looking at buying hungry, very, very good players from, you know, teams that are below us, and looking to actually push them on. The whole shift now has changed with Arsenal. Now we are looking at those teams from your Brightons, from your obviously last year at Sheffield United, looking at those players in those lower leagues, or, you know, lower echelons of the league, seeing which ones are the best performers and going for them. So the scouting actually right now is working. I, for one, did not know, and I hold my hands up, that Ramsdale could do what he's doing, i.e. the way he's been kicking the ball. I didn't see any of that at Sheffield United. I don't know if you guys did, but I did not see it. So I have no idea how those guys saw, because I never, in any of the games that Sheffield United played last year, I never saw him play like that. And so you just got to give kudos to what they're doing. These guys have obviously got clear vision, and I think we may have to give Edu really a little bit of kudos here. Do you know what I'm saying?
You can have another barbecue.
I still think though, like, look, yeah, he, you know, obviously the players he identified are very good, but I think he needs to mind himself with the optics in future. You know, like going on holidays and promoting that in a summer transfer window.
Transfers,
you know, given the I know, but given the gravitas of the transfer window that we just went through, I still think that like Kroenke said, that everyone's learning together in this adventure. Yeah. I need them to learn from that because exactly. That's not that, like, look, I will stand corrected on the players that you brought in, but I will die on this hill and say that is not what any director of football, in any professional club, whether big or small, was seen to be doing. I don't want to hear that the transfers were done in the end. I don't want to hear it because no. I'm sorry. Let me finish what I'm saying. Let me finish what I'm saying. Let me finish what I'm saying. Yeah, it's because that window, and that what we needed to see, like, that is important. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the fans are important. Yeah, like, it's all well and good knowing that all the transfers are done. The fans don't need to worry, but getting the fans on board is part of the experience of inducting new players. Do you know what I mean? Ramsdale had to come in, to a baptism of fire because of what Edu was done, not what he's done. You got to admit that, because of what Edu was doing. Because of what Edu was doing, that was adding to the doubts. That was fueling to the doubts that people were having. Because it's like, how can we know for certain that this is a player we're bringing in when Edu's out on holiday? And whilst he's identifying these players, how in depth has the scouting been, and how much of a rush transfer is it? You know,
I'm going to jump in. Let me jump in.
I think that still needs to.
Let me jump in.
By the way, I hadn't finished what I was saying, but go on, I'll let you go, Guns Up.
Then you can say Lex. I know you got something to say. I'm only gonna say Arsenal's, again, they have to learn from it. We are a big club, but actually, the scouting's done way before the summer transfer window. So again, you can't scout in the summer because teams aren't playing. So the scouting's done way before that. So if we now take into consideration, yes, our Edu's job's a bit different. And again, he's the head of it. He's probably not out scouting anyway. He's more communications. When he's on holiday, is he on the phone? Yes, more than likely. He's probably on the phone to agents non-stop. And if he is watching football, we see him at the Emirates a lot. When's then he's taking these breaks? So, and because we're Arsenal, we know everything Arsenal. We don't know if Tottenham's chairman's in the country or whoever's doing the scouting's in the country. We don't know what they're doing. We don't know what Man United people are doing.
That's all you have to keep it. That's how you have to keep it, isn't it? Like,
again, we don't follow them clubs. So Chelsea, Liverpool in a different position to us. So they signed one major player. So he's probably taking a whole summer of just chilling. But because of where they are at, I get what you're saying. It's the optics. Because we're Liverpool out, their fans aren't worried.
Contract renewals.
We're
you want to see on a plane going somewhere, doing something, scouting some games or whatever. But
I think it was timing.
What I'm saying is, for one, whether or not it was done, what he allowed the fans to think in that moment, is that perhaps he's given himself an opportunity to not have his eye fully on the ball, So it's like, I'm just saying, you know, like the body language that was coming out from them during the summer with that was like, and what?
But
not only did he take one, after it blew up that he took the first one, he went and did another one. Yeah, and it did the same thing with the pictures. So it's like that. That to me says, that to me kind of says, how much I care about what the fans are saying. Yeah, like, and as I said, if you think that hasn't had a knock-on effect on our perception of the players that they brought in the summer, because it did. Yeah,
I think we would have had that anyway. And again,
speaking personally, yeah, for me, I'm thinking, how serious could these players be? Yeah, when my man's not even around, when they're being signed.
Yeah, but again, it's chess. It's chess. It's a lot of chess.
It puts pressure on the players.
If we go to Sheffield United and saying, "Yo, I've got 20 mil for you," they come back and say 30, and I say, "I'm not bothered. I'm going over there and chilling," because now Ramsdale's going in with his agent saying, "Yo, I'll need that Arsenal move," and Arsenal turn around and saying, "Look, I've only got 22, so you got to go talk to them." It's all chess, isn't it? So. Again, these conversations have been having long before we even hear the links sometimes coming out. Like,
of course, I don't doubt that.
So I get what you're saying, but again, it's the bigger picture, isn't it? It's
at the moment,
depends how you look at it.
You know, in that moment, like now, there is a lot more trust in what they're doing. At that moment, the process was not being trusted. Yeah. So in a moment when the process is not being trusted, I don't know what job you like. Say you do a job, and you're a builder, and you're behind schedule, and you're building someone's kitchen, and the guy's thinking, why are they behind? They've been charging me all this money, they're asking for extra money. More times you're gonna stay there and be like, yo, just to kind of oversee it all. Do you get what I mean? To make sure. And that's what I'm trying to say, innit? I guess that's the best way that I can explain it, That made, to me, that looked like you're not having a handle on this serious. Do you get what I mean? Like, and it needs to be, and fans need to see that, like, I'm not saying don't take a holiday. I'm not saying, obviously everyone wants to go away in the summer, but it's the way, like, man could have just gone and just not took his phone out, not promoted nothing on social media, or he could have kept the photos and then just done the social media thing.
Even Princess Di got
you know what I'm saying? September the 1st.
Even Princess Di got caught with a top off, man.
These little things
are always around.
They matter, man. To me, like,
Apps are always around. So it's like, listen, man. Princess Di got caught with no top. She got caught topless back in the day. Do you know what I mean? So when the Paps want to get you, and the Paps will get you.
Yeah, we know we're clickbaity, but kind of, Scotty, finish your what he's going to say, because we're way over time. We're going to be on here for a little while.
I know. Yeah, no, I was just saying, look, listen, man. I mean, in regards to like the players like Ramsdale, Tavares, no one can sit back and say they've heard of Tavares, or really.
Sambi was similar.
Exactly. So these guys have been doing a lot of work during the whole season. And listen, I'm just happy right now. And as I said, with Edu, what he's doing, and I think you're hearing kind of like there's obviously a little bit of smoke with regards to the player from Fiorentina, Vlahovic. And I think if there was a player to come, and I think we'll only sign one player, and it could well be a big signing. It could well be him. I actually think that might happen. I don't know if you remember years ago when I think the biggest signing we did in January
was
Oban. Yeah, him. Yeah. Well, sorry, before him was Reyes.
Oh yeah.
And so when you have a kind of like a transfer like that coming, who can hit the ground running, like Oba, like
let me give you another win in January. Arshavin was January, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was right at the deadline day. When you have that. When you're doing well, you're doing okay. And as we was when we got Reyes, I remember we was doing well, and it was a nice added kind of thing to add to the squad. When you have that and you're doing well, it's good to have something like that to push you on, to keep everybody on their toes, to give people in training say, "Rah, oh my God, look at what this guy's bringing to the table. I've got to be on my game." You know what I'm saying?
And he said that in the interview, didn't he? He said about players challenging each other, but and
that's what it's about,
with the right spirit. Right. And I think that's a dig at Ozil. I really did. I think it was a case of we had players challenging and he took it the wrong way, because there was a lot of talk about him being the mole in the background and leaking things, and he had players on his side, so the Mustafis, the Kalasanaks, Socrates,
Very
that was
tricky.
all Ozil's boys.
Very tricky.
So I think that was very much a little dig at Ozil when he said that about players competing, but in the right kind of spirit, and actually they're ready to fight together, even though they have to fight against each other to get their positions. So
do you know what?
I think that was
really
definitely
kind
a
of
dig.
evidence of this new kind of atmosphere that we've got at the club. Ainsley Maitland-Niles' performance on Sunday. He weren't putting in that type of performance without that atmosphere that we got at the club now. He weren't doing that, because when that team sheet was read out, I was like, oh my God. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh my God. But
I'm pretty sure that at home this season, no team has taken more points than us.
Which is a complete flip.
One less point than us.
That's a complete flip on last season as well. Complete flip on his head.
Buy a win at home. But
right, okay. Sorry, Candace, finish up and then we're going to move on.
No. I was just saying with Maitland-Niles, I'm really happy for him, because there is a player in there. There definitely is a player in there. And if he can continue all you want him to do, right, is to make Arteta say, I've got a problem here. Party's back fit, but my man was man of the match. Can I actually leave him out, or how was Sambi's performance?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And have that kind of conversation and stuff, and that's what Arteta needs. And listen, man,
we were saying yesterday, what Maitland-Niles might have done is put himself in the thought process of, when we play a team who's going to sit back, maybe Maitland-Niles plays next to Partey because he's more creative than the other midfielders we got. So it's giving it that kind of vibe. When you remember John O'Shea or Park Ji-sung used to play 5 games a year against Arsenal, would be 2 and against Chelsea, Arsenal, and then you didn't see them again. It's almost like that might become El Nene and Sambi's role. And actually, when we're dominating the ball, it's Maitland-Niles who might play next to Partey.
But on Maitland-Niles, that ball to Lacazette in the first half,
just the weight of it, the quality. He's got that. But right, we're going to move it on. Next video, and they've been asking for it in the comments as well. He's reading my mind over there. So here we go. Oh, that's almost the wrong one. Hold on. There we go. That's
there's lots of similarities and there's lots of differences. I say it's like it's fruit to fruit. It's apples to watermelons. And there's no brand and there's no club and there's no exposure anywhere in our businesses like Arsenal Football Club. It's a global brand. It's consumed by fans all over the world, every continent, in every space. You see it popping up on social media. And I think that when you try to compare certain things, like I said, it's fruit to fruit, but the leagues are different, the sports are different, but a lot of the business is the same. And you're trying to drive revenues, you're trying to please fans, and you're trying to win games. And how do you do that? Every sport is slightly different. But there are lessons that you can apply and different psychologies that you can apply across your organizations to try to create that continuity that we've talked about.
Good start is winning trophies, isn't it?
It is, without a doubt. You're only as good as your last match. And, having a little bit of silverware behind you never hurts.
So, I quite like that
take. He talks
take.
a good game, man. He talks a good game.
Definitely. And I think that's the difference between him and Stan, maybe, where he gets maybe the understanding more of actually winning. But the big difference in English and American sports is like obviously things like relegation and things like that. You see it in a lot of American sports. Some teams will have a bad year on purpose to get the big pick next year, whereas that doesn't happen in England. So I think they need to learn the Prem and football in general, and I think they're starting to get it. But Lex, we're going to come to you. I want you to talk about what you spoke about globally. Obviously, Arsenal being the biggest brand that they've got. Again, them sports are huge in America, but Arsenal globally are massive all over the world. And I think that's probably a big difference for them as well. They're starting to understand when you're here getting abuse from in Africa or in China, people are saying Kroenke out like it's bigger than just America. So do you think they're kind of learning from that now, and you can see it come to fruition a little bit? The fact they're actually coming out and interviewing, because that wouldn't have happened 2 years ago. So you think they're learning from their previous mistakes, and Arsenal being such a big brand, you think is forcing them into doing more for the club?
Yeah, I think it was an honest interview. because if you look at social media presence at Arsenal, it's one of the biggest, in football world. And I think he's noticed, that there's a massive difference between the social media presence for the clubs that they own in America compared to Arsenal and in Europe and everything. So exactly what you said when they're talking about Kroenke's out, because I don't know if it was on that video, but I think he did touch on like there was a hashtag Kroenke out, and he was talking about it, and he said, yeah, I wasn't happy about seeing that. So obviously he's touched a nerve with him, and obviously I think ultimately he wants to do right, and he understands that our voices are quite big. It's big globally, not just in England, where they're probably used to just hearing the voices being big in America and controlling that, but it's more than England. It's Africa, Asia, whatever. So I think he's taken. I think it might have taken him some while, but he's understood that Arsenal globally is a big brand. No small team, unlike the other team on the other side.
Down the road, yeah, I hear
it. So we're a big team, and so I think he's taken that on board. But I think it was an honest interview, because there's times where he's talking, and he's not just like he's coming on saying about this stuff and that stuff. He's actually being, I'll be honest, and taking accountability. And I think, obviously what we spoke about before, Kroenke and Cannes, about breaking the transfer budget, and noticing straight away that, hang on a minute, we've done this, but it hasn't quite worked for us. So from that, I think, I can see he understands Arsenal in a way.
Yeah. All right. And sorry, just going to jump in again. Amondi's blowing up the comments. He says he's talking pure waffle. Hold on, gotta talking big.
Wait, says the pot to the kettle, though. Says the pot to the kettle. Says the pot to the kettle, because these men are going to be protesting on Friday about their owners, right? Cool. Yeah.
We leave them be. And he said it's just chopping promo. He said no, just PR exercise. So in terms of what Lex has just said, Canners, as well, we are a big brand. If sitting in that position, would you sell the club?
Man, you got something there which if the club is that valuable when they're low, where the stock is so, the playing stock, you could say, is so low. What is the value of the club gonna be, right, when it's firing? When we actually get back to those days of, Invincible kind of taught them there. You know what I mean? When we get back to winning trophies, and I'm not just talking about FA Cups, we're talking about winning, and challenging for the title, the Premier League, and back into Champions League. They know that they're sitting on something there which potentially could be absolutely huge. And if run right, there's no. We could be, I would say, between the top, I'd say 5. We could probably be the top 5 biggest clubs in the world. No, I'm seriously. I'm talking.
That's bold.
Well, listen. If we can get everything right, we do have the fan base, the global fan base. Fair enough. They're probably a little bit getting on a little bit now, because obviously they're from when Henry's on your Vieiras and Pureses were in their pomp and stuff. But if we now start challenging and getting back there, we're gonna now start getting a few more kids back in, you know what I mean, and get another generation of Arsenal supporters and stuff, and players, or kids saying that, I used to watch such and such when I was a kid, etc. Listen, we can do it. this was our aim, and this was the original aim for Arsenal to be a huge global brand. And if run right, which these guys are no mugs, don't get me wrong. Listen, man, they've been doing this stuff and they've nailed it in the US. Their brands, what they've got in the US, they're huge. Seriously, those brands, what they've got, the Denver Nuggets, the LA Rams, their hockey teams, etc. They're huge over in the US sports. And if they can get that right there, which they have, I'm pretty sure, as he said there in that clip, fair enough, it's apples, watermelons and all that. Yeah, fair enough. It's kind of like the same, but it's different in the sense that, yeah, you're still talking revenues. You're still talking, economics and stuff, but it's just a different sport. And this Arsenal is a truly global brand. And that's
the thing is as well, other things you need to think about, yeah? Look at the Spanish league right now. How long they've had dominance, yeah, a homogeny, yeah, of the Champions League and the European competitions. How many three-peats? Like Thingy did a three-peat, didn't he? Of the Europa League. The Villarreal RX Emery, yeah. So, obviously you look at the Champions League, it's been the same. You look at the Italian league as well. The impact of COVID, there's a real opportunity here because it's kind of like it's hit the reset button. Financially, they are not equipped to deal with the impact of COVID in the same way that the TV revenues being pumping money into the Premier League is allowing the Premier League teams to.
It's huge.
So
it's huge.
It's like now is a time to strike, but it's not a time to sell. Because
you wouldn't if you're a businessman, you don't sell.
Yeah, because the recovery at the moment, you sell when the recovery is fully taken place. You don't sell midway through the recovery because at the moment everything's coming up again. Like in terms of like people coming back into the stadiums, the revenue generation, the stock value, and those sorts of things. So I think if the Kroenkes did have an exit strategy, it wouldn't, based on what happened with COVID, it wouldn't be now. We wouldn't be looking at the next sort of 4 or 5 years. But if they're staying for at least that time, if not longer, there's got to be certain expectations that we have of them as a board. I maintain and I repeat, I'm not talking about going out and every player's got to be 80, 90 million. And, we got to be doing Real Madrid things back in the day. Because
as a Monty would tell you, that don't get you nowhere.
No, but they've proven now with this window what is possible by doing things shrewdly and by investing in youth and by sticking to Project Youth or whatever you want to call it and that longer term vision and strategy. So long as they're bringing in young players that are having an impact and that are increasing in value, and if one or two of them will got to be sold to kind of make things work, then whatever. But I mean, Barcelona at the moment, the teams that they've lost to in the Champions League, Real Madrid as well, have had a few scares. It's been embarrassing. The Italian league, the standard of quality, really, it's only, the German league, PSG are just an anomaly because, they're backed by a state. It's a clear runway. And if you look at the past couple of years of who's been competing and winning the Champions League, who's been getting to the finals, who's been winning them, it's been English teams, right? So I think if I was these guys, I would be seeing that as an opportunity, Liverpool and you look at City, City, as Klopp said, he's come out and he said, at the end of my contract, that's it. Is someone going to come in and just do what he's done? Just take the baton and run with it? That's the big question. United behaving the way that they're behaving at the moment. You look at, these. There's a huge opportunity now to strike whilst the iron's hot, and basically capitalize on everything that's going on around us.
Listen, these guys, I actually rate them, right, because
they're not stupid, and they're going to see that.
They're not stupid. Listen, they know how to make the most out of their money. They've done that. I know I keep going back to it with their American team. I think it is the Rams. There were St. Louis Rams before, St. Louis.
Yeah.
He moved them to LA. All right, and he ignored all the compromise and everything, and he built a new stadium which he owned, on which the land which he owned, But you talk to all the St. Louis natives and everything, they don't care. He's doubled the value of that club. And not only that, he's made them even more successful. So these guys ain't stupid. They look at things in a particular way to see which will make, okay, if you want to look at it cynically, as much money for them, which as a business, you take your dividends out. You do. Any business, you take your dividends out. If you're doing work for it, that's what happens. So listen, these guys ain't silly. They know what they're doing. They got someone who's young and hungry, i.e. Arteta. Edu as well is young. They're looking after the football side, from a technical standpoint, and also from, overseeing transfers and stuff. And right now, they seem to have a formula. Whether they've stumbled on it or whether whether it is by design, right now they've hit something and they're going with it, and it's doing well so far. I do think that we'll get one big player in January, and I think that's what all this talks about. Smoke, man. There ain't no fire, smoke without fire.
That could be a game changer.
I think what they're doing, again, they're not saying it's very clever. It's been done before, but again, if you look at the age of our squad, this squad isn't meant to be. We're not going to have this 11 for the next 5-6 years. Players will leave us, but what they're banking on is these billionaire owners to come and put up big money for some of our players. So if you take out Abba, Laka, and Partey, that squad we're playing with is really under 26. So in 2 years, you sell one of them and double your money on one, or just say we take Nuno Tavares, that's 40-50 million easy. You've now made 35 mil profit. So you can actually take some of that, and then the next Tavares might cost us 10 mil. So you then recycle. And if you look at why Barcelona, Madrid, and them teams are in the position they're in right now, it's because
imagine spending Odegaard in 5 years' time.
Yeah, and
I think it's not just
why Barcelona and that are struggling is because they spent 120 on Dembele, they spent 150 on Coutinho, Griezmann, they spent 100 and something and sold him for 40. So there's no longevity.
It's not just the initial outlay, it's the way
you got to add the Super League as well to it, because I think the Super League talks is not dead, and I think that's the reason why they're not going to sell, because they know that Super League is going to come back. Something's going to come back, and they said. They're going to make sure they're going to be in that Super League. And then if they're in that Super League, when you're talking about money, that's big money for
the Italians and the Spanish need it more than the English teams.
Yeah. 100%.
But by the same token, the English teams will benefit as well, though.
Of course. 100%. But those teams want a slice of the Premiership pie.
But and even he's put himself in that position that if something big does happen in the next few years, he's protected us by bringing in young players. So when you now want to sign some of the best, we might have some of them. Whereas again, not comparing us to Liverpool, but I said this a few months ago, and people aren't taking me serious. Reason why Klopp probably wants to leave when his contract's done is because he knows he needs to rebuild the whole team. All of them players are now over 28. So I mean, he's got a couple of good youngsters. So don't get me wrong, Trent, Curtis Jones, and them guys are very good youngsters, but your main core, Mane, Salah, Van Dijk, Henderson, Milner, Thiago, like Firmino's not the oldest.
4 years and they're done.
They're hitting a big age, so you now need to rebuild that whole thing. So if you're Klopp, Fergie done it. Fergie got to the end of that team. He said, you know what, I'm not doing this no more. I'm gone. And look what he left Man United with. He won the league with him because he's that good. But look what he left United with. Like Moyes had never had a chance for that team. So I think where they've put us is if Barcelona all of a sudden get a win full of money again, when you're looking to buy players, actually, there's some good players there at Arsenal for 80 mil we'll take who are now coming into their prime, and we start again. So,
but this cycle is exactly how Leicester have solidified their status. First is a Premier League team, buy one or two, the team that won the league, they got rid of everyone, but then they've taken less than half of that, reinvented each time, just planting one or two seeds, selling one tree. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Planting one or two seeds, selling another tree. And now, Leicester now are a solid, bona fide top six. You could probably say off of the merit of 2 seasons. Do you apply recency bias and say that 2 seasons is enough? But you've got to look at what they've done in the last 2 seasons. They have back-to-back top 6 finished and won trophies in that time.
Yeah, but you know what?
When you consider in the last decade, in the same decade, they played championship football.
Yeah, but if you look at Ramondi's comment below, FA Cups don't be counting as trophies. But you know,
just look. And you know what? Until you win one past 2017, don't talk about what trophies you can turn your nose up at, man. You know what I mean?
The thing is, though, we need to be back in that Champions League. We need to be back there.
You know, but you know, so I think like not discounting Wenger's what he done, but do you know what? It's a lot different now. Like you could have a great season and end up 5th or 6th because again, not discounting him. There was Man United, Arsenal, and Chelsea were the consistents. You might get Liverpool in there one year, then you're going to get Everton might try and sneak in one year. City obviously got money, came up, but then in the early Wenger days, there was nobody really pushing. Newcastle had a good team every now and again, but you was kind of before the season started, you had Arsenal and Man United 1 and 2. Then when Chelsea got money, you put them in as 3rd, and then Mourinho come and it became that was your top 3, and someone out there, others can get 4th. But the 4th team then was not like Leicester is now. Like you look at, even Arsenal at the moment, how we're playing, might end up 6th. You got Leicester who are quality. Everton spend big money. Tottenham, they're Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? West Ham at the moment,
above Liverpool at the moment.
Do you know what I mean? So top 4 is the place. Man. But sometimes you might miss out on it every now and again, and it might not be down to anything. Liverpool almost missed out because of 3 injuries to the back, like the 2 centre backs and the backup centre back, Matip, Gomez, and Van Dijk. And if Leicester carried on a bit more form,
Henderson and Henderson and Fabinho as well.
Yeah. So they easily could have dropped out, and they're a very good team. So it shows how quick and easy you can fall out of that top 4. But I think the key is how quick you bounce back, and Arsenal been out of it for a bit too long now. But we seem to have turned the corner, and I think other teams are going to have to go through this transition. Tottenham are going through it right now, and there's no end in sight. They've brought a big manager in, and he might not be able to get a tune out of this team. Do you know what I mean? They brought in Mourinho before, who was notorious at winning things, and do you know what I mean? Didn't get anything. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I do like the Premier at the moment. Like it does make for an interesting league, doesn't it? And again, players are going to want to come here. So again, you can now start picking off some players because this is the league to be in right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, we were way over time today. It's been a great stream. I'm going to throw this video up because this is our US export expert. He's going to give his thoughts on the interview. So I hope you enjoy. Sit back, relax. It's a couple of minutes long. We're going to get to it.
Yeah, boys, sorry I can't come on tonight. As you can tell, possibly I'm at work. So just come and have a quick word about the whole Kroenke interview before I do start work. Now listen, the question where he was asked about being a fan and where, position he played and, what kind of footballer he sees himself at, and you couldn't answer the question. I mean, it just says, we know he's not a fan. He's not a fan. He ain't got a flipping Scooby. However, I do believe he wants to be successful, and I base that on what we've seen with the club at the moment, the transfers that we brought in and how well they're doing, how they backed Arteta in his market. Arteta's got his own players now and they're playing for him. And then I'll base it on the other clubs and franchises he's got over in the States. So you've got, in the NHL, you've got the Colorado Avalanche, who haven't started great but have a very talented team and are favourites to win the Stanley Cup this season. Then you go to the MLS, Colorado Rapids, who are finished top of the MLS, now in the playoffs, every chance of winning, obviously. And then you go to the Denver Nuggets basketball, second in their division, started the season well as well. And then you've got the LA Rams, who, again, having a good season, as much as it pains me to say, because I'm an LA Chargers fan. But, they've just signed Von Miller as well from the Denver Broncos, who also are having quite a decent season, and he's managed to lure him away to LA. So it says a lot for me. They've invested well in these teams, and I know people go on about the stadium in Inglewood, in Los Angeles, and they spent billions on that. But you're forgetting as well, that they're sharing the stadium with the Chargers as well, so they're getting all sorts of money for that coming back. So yeah, the way they've invested in their teams, all quite young, talented teams as well. So yeah, I can see what they're trying to do. A whole KSC. Josh Kroenke speaks a good game, doesn't he? He does speak a good game. Apart from that, obviously, one, he couldn't answer properly when it comes to football players. But still, I think he has the desire to make the club successful, based on what I've seen in that interview, based on what I'm seeing from his other teams as well as Arsenal. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm going to hush up on my Kroenke out for now, just to see how it all pans out. And then at the end of the season, well, we'll see. But, you know, it's given him the benefit of the doubt. Like you said, 3 years solely in charge. And, you know, they're finally learning, I think. Oh, I'm hoping. But we'll see what happens. That's my 2 pennies worth anyway. Give you a little bit of a food for thought when it comes to how the other franchises and clubs are doing as well as ours. So yeah, anyway, back to you boys. Catch you a bit.
So thank you, Tony. They're our US sports correspondent. Very good take. And yeah, in a nutshell, I think he summed it up quite well. So it's going to lead on to my last question, and I've warned the guys on the panel that if they start talking, I'm going to mute them. I just want yes and no, so I'm going to fire a nasty question. First of all, if you actually not even going to get that, we're going to go to a more saucy one. Are you starting to trust the process? Actually, no, not even started to. Candace, do you trust the process? Do you trust it? Yes or no? And with the process, I'm not talking about the scores as well, because I think the players have a lot to. The players have kind of saved Kroenke, because the Kroenke outs have kind of died down. And that's due to the players winning games. The process I'm talking about is what we're signing.
I'm starting to trust it. Yes.
Okay. And Lex, do you trust the process? Are you fully behind these guys right now, or would you still rather see Ek come in?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm starting to trust the process. I think. I don't know if Ek is going to make much more of a difference, to be honest. So yeah, that's my answer. So yeah,
nice.
To trust it.
Gunner King, you trust? Because you was very much Kroenke's out. You was heavy on Kroenke out in the summer.
I've always had.
I'm not going to try and call you a flip flop, but are you starting to trust it? Even though you probably still want them out, do you trust what they're doing a bit more than you did this time last year?
I don't really care whether someone's in or out. I care if this club's successful, and you know it's been a long time where there hasn't been any where they've been it. So I'm starting to trust and buy into what they're doing a bit more.
Yeah.
However, I think there will be moments where it needs to be tweaked, and I also think they need to do a bit more than have one good window and a good start to a season to get fans to buy into the process. But look, I've noticed a difference. The Chelsea game, stadium was empty. Watford game, a lesser game, there was barely any empty seats anywhere in sight. You know, like you could feel the buzz, the atmosphere, the intensity. The fact that me and myself is going back to games, you know, like is in itself, it shows that I am buying into what I'm seeing. And that's what it's about. It's about we got to see it now. You know, like it's not. You know, I kind of do get what Amondi was saying. You know, like, we got to see action. You know, like it's good that we saw communication from the Kroenkes, but they've got to back that up. And I think that starts with seeing what they do in January, not in the summer, because if they risk it and think maybe we can get by just with what we got, get to the end of the season and scrape Europe, I want to see them put a belt and a brace on that. Go get someone, because I'm not saying go get someone for getting someone's sake. You can see it, I think our build-up play and everything, our approach play to the final third is excellent. You look at the goal difference tally; it don't lie. I've been looking at it. We're some way off the teams above us. You know, we're not talking about a few goals. We're talking like 10, 15 goals.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, and it's not our defense, because obviously our defense are doing well. So, yeah, that's. I just want to see how the next window, how the rest of the season goes, what they do in the summer, and you know, Arteta as well, in terms of how he performs in tougher tests throughout the season.
Decent. And Silver Fox, thank you very much. You answered the question. I trust the process. Gunner King is the politician.
It's a loaded question, man. I don't do well with loaded questions, man. I'm sorry, bro. There's a lot to unpack there. Like, you know, like,
that is true.
Yeah.
As I said, it only's going to take a couple of bad results for us to turn on them again. Like, they're never going to be safe, really. But I think, as I said, I think they owe the players a lot, because they've taken a lot of pressure off everybody at the club. But equally, some of them players who've been here a while put the pressure on the club because they hadn't been good enough for a long time. So, as a collective, it seems like we're heading in somewhat a better direction than we have been for a long time. And not to say we got Arsenal back, but we're heading in the right direction, and hopefully we can continue the kind of upward I can't say the word trajectory. I can't say it. You've got my lips are too big, and name gums, it all gets in the way of trying to talk. So, but one thing I do feel they've done well is they've put football people in charge, and that's a dig at you, Amundi, because you guys ain't got football people in charge. Hence why you just play FIFA. Do you know what I mean? You don't play Football Manager. I said it before. You don't play FIFA. You just buy 89 star rated players and don't worry about if it's going to link up or connect, or do I change formation, or there's no thought behind it. You're just buying the best players and putting them in a team. There's no green lines between your players at the moment. It is all red. We're playing Moneyball. We're playing Football Manager. You, man, are playing FIFA. But no, I love you on Monday. I'm just getting the spice ready for the second, because we're going to get busy in that week before the United Arsenal game. It's going to be brilliant.
Those guys want to do a watch along.
I'm there with them. I love the United agenda.
Oh,
so
no,
it's all good.
There's going to be a mass watch along, like a load of people, like from the group where I met Amondi as well. Yeah, like it's going to be like big. We are literally killing Mitches at the moment, man. Like, so they've said, they want to be sat around me, when this game's happening. So
we have to make it happen.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
definitely. So, right, we're gonna have to wrap up there, though, guys. Appreciate the group today. It's been brilliant. It's been really insightful. You guys know your football and you know your business. So, it's been a brilliant chat. Thank you guys in the comments as well. The interaction's been brilliant. The last couple of streams have been amazing, and I think it shows that actually when Arsenal are doing well, the fans want to talk about Arsenal. And so it's not this negativity people promote. Actually, our engagement's gone up a lot more since Arsenal been on a winning run. So
you just want to read everything. So when you win, you just want to read everything. You just want to read everything good about Arsenal. That's what you want to do.
Yeah, definitely. So Amundi, thank you again. I know you're a United fan, but appreciate you always in the comments. And again, you're very fair. So we love having you in here. But guys, we're going to wrap up there. Thank you very much. Gunner King Court, hopefully he's coming back on Thursday. Gunner, keep putting pressure on you every stream to make sure it comes on. Love that. I love that.
Next week, I'm going to do a preview show. I'm going to speak to some Liverpool fans tonight. So stay tuned.
Yeah, it's going to be saucy. Decent, right?
Some news about that.
Guys, we're out of here. Lex, Gunner King, appreciate it. Guys, comments, hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the streams. Make sure you keep commenting, like we love it. But yeah, guys, until next time, peace out.